Hello everyone. Here we have an installment of what's new around here. It is native planting season. Once it gets down consistently below 90 degrees in the fall, it's a great time to plant native plants so that they can overwinter and grow back strong in the spring and into the summer. So I wanted to show you some things that I have added to our yard. First of all, this little guy is one of our native honeysuckles, and it was growing off. Oh, he broke. The storm got him. Oh no. It broke off my other honeysuckle. No, it didn't break off. It was growing off of. So I transplanted it over here. I am not sure. It looks like it must be coral honeysuckle, because then at the plant sale last weekend, I added that honeysuckle and then that honeysuckle right there. The hope and the plan is that they will grow up and start to fill in around the fence and create a natural visual barrier. I specifically chose the honeysuckle because they are not quite as prolific of growers, and their stems don't get as woody as some of our other vines, and that way they will be kinder to our fence that we paid a decent amount of money for. Please, I'm sorry, I'm hooking the gate. Oh well. Okay, and now I'm going to head over here where one of my favorite native plants is a plant called Rattlesnake Master, and it looks really cool. You can use it to make cordage and bracelets, but I don't have it's kind of a full sun plant, and I don't really have very much of a full sun yard, but I wanted to give it a try. So I literally, without even like clearing things out or anything, our yard obviously is a disaster. The soil is poor, but luckily our natives grow well in poor soil. They're used to being here. So I just bought 3 Rattlesnake Master and planted them here in this area that gets afternoon sun, just to see if it'll be enough. And if those grow well, I might expand this area into more natives to add on to the garden. So just to show you what I have had going on. So this is kind of our shady area, and what I use it for, look at this, look at all this moss we've got to grow here. I just absolutely adore moss, and it started out when we moved in. This whole area was just weeded over. It was all weeds except for that little patch of moss back there, and I wanted it to spread. So what we have done all of these years, the past 5 years, is we have hand weeded this area. And we've just continued to spread that hand weeding out and out and out and out, giving the moss places to spread. I'm hoping to make a concrete path with steppers or whatever going through here, or maybe going around to spread that area. And then in the spring, we did plant some others in here, and we planted some over by that tree as well, some various natives to kind of fill in the areas under the trees. This is my hit or miss zone of stuff that I originally planted plants here and then realized they were full sun plants, so I had to move them out here. So everything here is a volunteer. Things that have either stayed, their roots were still here so they grew back, or they have seeded themselves over here. So at this point, this needs a lot of, the whole thing needs a TLC for the fall. I've had a couple really rough summers and springs, and so I haven't been out here as much. So please don't judge natives, A, based on what they look like at this point in the year, because some of them have gone to seed, and 2, I haven't had the ability to be out here cutting some of it back to let it all grow in. Because in previous years it's just been gorgeous, like it's been tiered, and you've got tall stuff in the back and the shorter stuff in the front, and everything's beautiful, and I just haven't had the ability to do that this year. Then I have this garden spot, so wait for updates on it in the spring when I've been able to come out and really clean it up and get it back to its glory. This is one of my favorites. This is all native yellow and coral honeysuckle, and it blooms on and off all year. I highly recommend the honeysuckle if you're looking for something to just get started on. If you're in the Midwest, if it's native to your area, it has just grown so well. I've even had to add another trellis so it can continue to grow. I also added, this is Missouri primrose, evening primrose, and that is Baptisia australis or blue false indigo. I just added those this year, and I'm so glad the indigo, it is also one of my favorites. I'm so glad it's still here. And then we have this area. The grasses are obviously, we had really, really hot days and some not a lot of rain for a while, so this has yellowed out, but it was all green and beautiful. So I love it. But another thing that I added, so this is Dutchman's pipe vine, and I've got one there. And the goal, and I'll tell you about it in a second, but the goal is to get it to grow along one of our trees, our ash trees that died and fell down. And then I have more of it over there planted at the base of that tree, and I'm hoping it will make it to the fence and then grow along the fence. And then over here, okay, so first of all, when this tree fell down, this limb broke off, and we decided it looked like a person. And so we hooked it to this dead tree. But I also put a Dutchman's pipe vine at the bottom of it so that it can grow up the trees. So Dutchman's pipe vine brings in a really beautiful swallowtail, I believe, but a really beautiful butterfly that I would love to bring to the yard. But it is a little bit more of a prolific grower, and it can be a little bit woodier. And so I didn't really want it to grow along the fence and take over, and I didn't really want to plant it in a garden where it would take over. So my goal is to use these trees to train it to grow down the trees and then up that other tree to make kind of living fences for our yard. So there's several different native vines that are at least native to Missouri that bring in beautiful insects, beautiful, typically butterflies or moths, and I wanted to be able to add them to our yard, but I wasn't sure how to do it in a way where it wouldn't take over an entire garden or our fence. And so I'm hoping this will be a way to do that. So I will keep you posted.